All right, Andrew has a lot to share with you guys today, so I am going to go ahead and get started. We will let people come in as they are joining, but until we get there, I just want to welcome everybody to MPG's webinar series. And we're thankful that you're deciding to join us today for this very needed webinar on our upcoming technology within ABA. But before we get started, I want to take a minute to announce Andrew Ng, and I'm very excited that he is here joining us. Andrew is a board-certified behavior analyst and New York State licensed behavior analyst with nearly 10 years of experience providing behavior analytics services to individuals of all age groups, including toddlers, teens, and adults on the autism spectrum. He obtained his undergrad in psychology and master's degree in applied behavior analysis from Queens College. Currently at Manhattan Psychology Group, Andrew offers ABA services and provides parent counseling and training. Since 2019, he has also been working as an adjunct professor teaching undergraduate psychology and ABA courses at Queens College. Additionally, Andrew serves as a BCBA clinician at Manhattan Star Academy, overseeing school-age children with special needs. He is passionate about inspiring others to learn more about behavioral science and advocating for individuals on the autism spectrum to be their voice. He also has experience in assistive technology training, including alternative augmentative communication devices. In his practice, he prefers a naturalistic and eclectic approach to teaching social and peer interaction skills, utilizing methods such as Dungeons and Dragons, video games, and technology to provide a modernized way of teaching socially significant skills to his learners. Before we begin the webinar, I want to take a minute to tell you guys a little bit about Manhattan Psychology Group. We were established in 2011 by Dr. Joshua Rosenthal and have continued to grow into a team of over 300 dedicated professionals. Our team includes skilled adult and child psychologists, neuropsychologists, board-certified behavior analysts, special educators, and ABA therapists. As a team, we are committed to wraparound care, which includes our wide range of services, from mental health and testing to ABA and educational services. This holistic approach allows us to address various needs and challenges with compassion and care. We provide services to clients out of our Upper West Side and Long Island City offices, in-home, school, and clinic-based settings, as well as through telehealth. Our team is committed to serving individuals, couples, and families of all ages in diverse settings. We are also pleased to offer these free monthly webinars for parents and professionals where we will continue to learn and foster meaningful connections with each other. Our vision at MPG is to create a future where individuals and their families feel supported, connected, and empowered. And our mission is to provide multidisciplinary integrated support for individuals and their families who experience mental health, behavioral, and educational challenges. And one last thing before I turn it over to Andrew, just a few reminders related to CEUs. There will be 2 CEU code words. They will be posted throughout the presentation. You do need to write them down. We will have them on the screen. We will say them verbally. Once we move on, we will not repeat them. Please make sure you jot them down so that way you can complete the post-webinar survey at the end. Additionally, Andrew has some polls to get some involvement from the audience. You do not need to complete the polls in order to get your CEUs, but we do highly encourage the involvement. So if you have any questions in the meantime, you can toss those in the chat, or sorry, in the Q&A related to technical difficulties. If you have any questions for Andrew, please make sure you use the Q&A so that way he's able to see the questions at the end of the webinar. If you use the chat, we can't confirm that they will be shared for the Q&A section at the end. And then if you have any technical difficulties, like I said, you can either use the Q&A or the chat to let us know those. And without further ado, I will let Andrew take over.
Thanks so much, Lakin, for the lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm so excited to teach you all tonight about how we can enhance ABA program through the use of technology and AI. So let's just jump right into it. So we have several learning objectives that I want to cover today. The first is that we will cover the basics of AI and some modern technological advancements in healthcare and in other areas. Secondly, we'll analyze latest research on modern technology and AI in relation to applied behavior analysis. And thirdly, we will explore effective tips and strategies for modernizing the use of AI into our ABA programming while ensuring the compliance with the BACB Code of Ethics. So since this is an ethics CEU, we will be hitting upon a lot on the ethics section. And lastly, we'll have a discussion regarding some current research, limitations, and future directions for the use of modern technology and AI in practice. So before we get started, I want to get a poll so we can get some general information from all of you guys. The question is, how familiar are you with the concept of artificial intelligence? Beginner, meaning that you don't know a lot about it. Intermediate, meaning that you know quite a bit about it, especially like the technological aspect, the computer science aspect. And advanced, you would consider yourself an expert. You know the programming very well. You know how to code and everything like that. Okay. So I'm going to stop the poll here. Looks like a lot of us answered. It seems like a lot of us are beginners, which I think that I fall into that same category, actually. I'm in between a beginner and intermediate. I want to preface that I am in no way an expert on AI. I'm a behavior analyst first. I'm just very interested in this new wave of technology and how we can incorporate it in our practice. So just keep that in mind as I go over all of our examples today. So let's have a bit of a refresher on what AI is in case you don't really know what it is. Let's throw a definition on there. AI refers to the development of computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So for example, things like learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, understanding natural language, which is a big component of us as a behavior analyst, and interacting with the environment. What AI aims to do is to create machines that can mimic and in some cases surpass human cognitive abilities. Right? We are creating these new ways that we could make our lives easier using this new wave of technology. So there are two main types of artificial intelligence that I will be talking about. The first is narrow or weak AI, which is ANI for short. And they are designed and trained for a particular task or a narrow set of tasks. They excel in specific applications, but lack the general cognitive abilities of humans. For example, we're talking about virtual personal assistants. If you were around during the late 90s and early 2000s using Microsoft Word, we have our good friend Clippy over here. You guys remember him? Does anybody remember? You could tell me in the chat. I have fond memories of Clippy. Yes, I'm glad to see that. Another example of narrow or weak AI is Siri. I don't want to activate everybody's phone, but the use of Siri on our phones is an example of narrow or weak AI. Using that type of voice recognition software to a very basic level. I miss Clippy too. Things are not the same. Kids don't know these days. The impact of Clippy. Anyway, second type of AI that I will be talking about, and a lot of the examples that I will be talking about in regards to our field of applied behavior analysis, is AGI, general or strong AI, which is a more advanced form of AI that possesses the ability to understand, learn, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks, similar to human intelligence. So for example, in this image that you see here below, I'm sure some of you guys probably have read about this before, but Google's project DeepMind created an AI called AlphaGo, which beat a master Go player, which is a type of basically like Chinese chess that originated over 2,500 years ago. And he beat this master Go player 3-0 in a best of 5 competition, in which this is seen as a landmark moment for artificial intelligence. So that is an example of how AGI can surpass some levels of our own level of intelligence. So with these examples that I'll be going over today, I will be talking more about general or strong versions of AI in our ABA practice and in our work with individuals on the spectrum and other related disabilities. So AI technologies are used in various industries, which include healthcare, finance, education, transportation, and entertainment, among others. And this field continues to rapidly evolve with ongoing research and development aimed at creating even more intelligent, adaptable, and ethical AI systems. So there's machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of AI that involves the development of algorithms that allow machines to learn from their data and improve their performance over time without any explicit programming. So an example of this is Netflix's a recommendation system in which that they use a machine learning algorithm that analyzes your viewing history and your preferences. And they also provide any type of basically recommendations based on what you are watching, based on the categories of stuff that you're watching. And this also applies to advertisements. Like if you're scrolling down on Instagram or Facebook, I know I have found a lot of ads that I feel like are very extremely like directed towards me that's based off of an algorithm of reading my data. There has not been a secret word yet. It will be released when it's released. It's just not yet. Secondly, computer vision. So these are AI systems that interpret and make decisions based on visual data, such as image and video recognition. So an example of this is Tesla's autopilot system, which uses computer vision to interpret and analyze visual data from cameras that are mounted on the vehicle, which enable features such as lane keeping, traffic-aware cruise control, and automatic lane changes. And we also have natural language processing. So this is AI that incorporates the ability of machines to understand, interpret, and generate human language, enabling interactions between computers and humans using natural-based language. So things like ChatGPT, Google Bard, right? There's lots of these chat-based AIs that use this type of AI. Okay. And then robotics. So in the field of robotics, the application of AI to control and enhance the capabilities of robots, which can help enable them to perform tasks in diverse environments. An example that I have here is Boston Dynamics is a company that created this dog robot basically they call Spot. I put a hyperlink over here in the slides if you want to read more about it. But it's interesting. I think it's typically used for construction-based settings in which that they'll have this robot collect data on like safety measures. They basically can really do a lot of interesting artificial intelligence techniques that are incorporated in this robot that can help that area of construction, basically. Oh, it's very cool. Amy says, I've met one of those. The FDNY uses one of them. That's very cool. I've never met one personally, but I'm sure it would be really cool to see one day in person. Oops, sorry. And lastly, with expert systems, these are AI systems that emulate the decision-making ability of a human expert in a particular domain. So an example of this is with IBM. They have an AI that they call Watson, and Watson is specifically trained in oncology, which is the study of cancers. And Watson is an expert system that assists oncologists in providing personalized cancer treatment recommendations. It analyzes medical literature, clinical trial data, and patient records to suggest potential treatment options. Right? So yes, exactly, Jacqueline. Now you can see how I'm setting up the stage for how we can use this form of technology to help our field. Okay, so modern AI and ABA. So modern AI has significantly contributed to the field of applied behavior analysis by enhancing and expanding its capabilities. So in some ways in which that AI has benefited our field so far include many, but certainly not limited to data analysis and processing. Right? We can use AI tools to help process and analyze large sets of behavioral data more efficiently than traditional methods. Advanced algorithms can help identify patterns, trends, and correlations in our behavior data, which can help aid in more accurate assessments. Predictive modeling, AI algorithms can help create predictive models based on historical behavioral data, which help behavior analysts anticipate future behavior and make informed decisions. Thirdly, personalized intervention plans. AI-driven systems can analyze individual behavior patterns and tailor intervention plans to specific needs, which can help provide more personalized and effective treatment strategies. Automated data collection is really cool, which we can use AI-powered technology, which can automate the collection of behavior data, reducing the burden on human observers and minimizing the chances of human error in data recording. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing a very long assessment at a school for a long time, it certainly would be very helpful to have some type of algorithm take data on a plethora of behaviors that I am particularly interested in analyzing. Additionally, virtual reality and simulation. VR is super cool. As we know, Google Vision Pro just came out, and we also, of course, have the Oculus, which has been rapidly advancing over the years. We can use VR combined with AI, which allows for the creation of realistic and controlled environments to assess and intervene in behavioral issues in a safe and controlled manner. And I will be going over some VR apps that help the autistic community. Additionally, early detection of patterns. AI can help detect subtle patterns and changes in behavior that may go unnoticed by human observers, which help us enable early intervention and more effective treatment. And I do have an example of a particular study that uses this type of algorithm to detect early signs of autism. And lastly, with enhanced research opportunities, of course, AI is going to help facilitate more sophisticated research in applied behavior analysis by enabling the analysis of vast databases, data sets, fostering the discovery of new behavioral patterns, which also help contribute to the development of new innovative interventions. So here's your first code word. The first code word is future, and I will keep it up for 20 seconds. I chose this code word because I feel like AI is the future. Right, in good ways and bad. But today we're talking about mostly the positives. All right. So moving on, now I'm going to be talking about some examples of real life examples of applications and AI-based apps that have helped our community. So early autism detection. Sense to Know is an app that was developed by the Duke Center for Autism and Brain Development and the Duke Pratt School of Engineering. And they used an AI app to study child development and help detect early signs of autism. So without going into too much detail, because it is quite complex, I did attach the 2 links here if you want to read more about it. But they basically have various kinds of videos set up for you and your child to watch together. And these various videos will elicit some type of emotional reaction. At least for the neurotypical side of things, when you, for example, if you see a video of someone falling down and crying, a typical response would be, oh no, like, are they okay, or something like that. So these types of videos that they present to them, they have some type of image recognition software that tracks the emotional responses to various types of videos and incorporating their own algorithm to assess whether or not those are red flags in an autism diagnosis. Another example of how we can use AI and technology in helping our community is through autism screening through ERG. ERG is electroretinography, and researchers have found that the retina generates a different retinal response in children with autism as compared to those who are neurotypical. So researchers studied, I'll briefly tell you the summary of this whole study because it is quite interesting. So they had researchers who studied the eyes of 217 children, in which that 71 had autism and 146 did not. And they wanted to see whether they can detect differences in how the children's retinas responded to light. So they used a simple test that basically flashes a bright light into one eye, and they found that children with autism showed different electrical activity patterns compared to neurotypical children. So interestingly, the best results came from analyzing just one flash of light. So this combined with AI processing, this helps significantly reduce the testing time. This study also helped discover that children with autism, in that group specifically, specific parts of this electrical signal were weaker at higher frequencies. So this is another example of how we can incorporate both technology and AI to create a really awesome product that can help us detect autism without the use of having to use, like heavy diagnostics and interviews. Of course, we can't use this as, our go-to, say, oh, 100% your kid has autism, but we can use it as supplement. And yes, the article is over here in this link. If you scroll down to the bottom, I think they do also have the medical review publication, whatever. And at the end of this lecture, I do have references. Another example of how tech and AI, I realized that, yes, you can't click on the screen. This is just for you to click on later. The slides were shared with you, so you can click it through there. So Lux AI is a interesting social robot, which is designed to help children with autism, in which that it helps them learn and develop skills through play-based activities. And they use various engaging methods to make learning fun and effective. They have interactive games and activities. QT Robot uses games, role-playing, and social narratives to help children engaged and motivated. They also have a clear and understandable communication developed within this robot, in which that the robot uses simple and age-appropriate language combined with visual aids to ensure that the children understand the lessons easily. And they also incorporated expressive emotions and gestures. The robot doesn't just talk, it also shows emotions and gestures clearly and expressively. This helps children learn about the social cues and emotional understanding. And they also developed a personalized learning program within each robot in which that each child has unique needs and learning styles, of course. This robot creates customized education plans that can adapt to your child's progress across cognitive, social, and language skills. And as your child learns, this robot's interactions become more complex, providing a constant challenge and opportunity for growth. So overall, this is an interesting and fun, engaging way for your child with autism to learn more important social communication and emotional skills through these play-based activities. In terms of the pricing, I don't know exactly, but I don't expect it to be, $50 or something that you could buy easily on Amazon right now. But you can click this link, or I can't send it in the chat right now, but in the slides, you can click this link to learn more. I heard about Angel Sense as well. That's a very interesting tracking device. And as I was mentioning to you earlier about the use of VR, just imagine practicing social skills without feeling anxious or judged. So this is what Florio VR offers. They use VR to create immersive simulations where people of all ages can practice essential social communication and life skills at their own pace, anywhere that they feel comfortable. So whether they're in a therapy session, at school, or even at home, Florio is an app that helps provide a safe and engaging environment for your student to learn. And these experiences are backed up by research and proven techniques. So you can trust that you are going to be getting a product that is somewhat evidence-based. And again, here's the link if you want to learn more. And just how in the 20th century, we had B.F. Skinner create his own teaching machine. And now in the 21st century, we have our own version of an advanced teaching machine. So simulation-based training using an NAO robot. There is this lab called the K Lab, which leverages technology and research to advance the practice of behavior analysis. And one area of focus is developing VR training experiences to help BCBAs navigate conflict resolution. So their research revealed that many BCBAs experience frequent workplace conflict, which can lead to dissatisfaction and loss of clients sometimes. So this lab developed a conflict resolution decision-making tool and tested its effectiveness through training. Now they are building VR simulations where trainees can practice using these tools in various scenarios. So imagine if you're a BCBA and you're interacting with a difficult parent whose child's therapist is often late. Or picture a teacher considering ending services because a BCBA implemented a program without consulting them properly. These are just a few examples of some realistic situations that trainees will encounter in this type of VR application. So by providing immersive and engaging training programs, this application aims to equip BCBAs with the skills that they need to navigate conflict effectively, ultimately leading to better outcomes for clients and improved job satisfaction for professionals. The QT robot is at least $3,000 depending on what you use it for, someone said. It's interesting. Still a pretty penny, but yeah, I guess it's not as much as I expected it to be. Let's have another poll question. Now I'm curious about how many of you have used ChatGPT before in your work. So I assume a lot of us are behavior analysts or we work in the field of developmental disabilities. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop the poll here. It looks like most of us do not use ChatGPT with their work. I'm very surprised by that, actually. And this is in the sense like you use it as a way to help you like create your treatment plan or help you figure out some type of idea for developing some type of program. But I expect, of course, outside of our field of ABA, I estimate that a lot of other individuals use it as well. Someone said that their husband uses it for data science and marketing. I'm sure that really helps, using it to help create IEP goals. Yeah, it could definitely help you get started with figuring out where to start in terms of developing an IEP plan. I have friends who are helping use this to help answer emails. Yeah, that also helps, I guess, with figuring out the right words to say, making your language sound a little bit more pragmatic. Used it to create worksheets. I have used it as well to help me create a data sheet. Yeah, a lot of great examples. I use it for marketing. I use it for social stories. That is a really great example. So as we get a little bit further into this discussion, I will be talking more about some ideas for how you can use it in your practice. Thanks for sharing. So just a bit of a recap on what ChatGPT is. I think we all know what it is, but we don't know like what it like like how it was created and what goes on in the back end. So ChatGPT is a large language model chatbot that was developed by OpenAI, and it felt like it was just overnight. It was in November 2022 when its first launch came out. It has conversational capabilities, which can hold conversations on various topics, adapting to different conversation styles and tones. It helps you answer questions in an informative way, even if they're open-ended, challenging, or strange. And they could also help generate different creative text formats, such as like poems, code, scripts, musical pieces, and etc. In terms of writing, we can use this technology to help us write different kinds of creative content, such as poems, scripts, musical pieces, emails, letters, and etc. It can help generate different creative text formats of text content, which can also help with writing essays, articles, and other forms of written content. Natalie in the chat says I've used Goblin tools before, which I've actually used that app before. They essentially create like a task analysis that can generate like subtasks for someone that has a lot of executive dysfunctioning difficulties. For example, you can use the app and say like, oh, I need to clean my room today. I need to clean the kitchen. I need to pay those bills. So it'll help you like break down those tasks into mini task analyses, basically, to help you get along with your day. So thanks for sharing that, Natalie. And lastly, ChatGPT, in terms of other tasks, can help translate languages. It could help provide summaries of factual topics, and it could help generate different responses based on a given prompt or story. So think about how we can use all of this type of information to help our practice as we proceed on with this discussion. So an estimated 30% of professionals admit to using ChatGPT in their work, and 70% of surveyed professionals want to use AI to help them with their jobs, according to Dr. David J. Cox. And you'd be hard-pressed to read any news article around technology where AI or machine learning aren't mentioned in some capacity. AI and machine learning is everywhere. We have novel solutions that are continuously making really big headlines, and it's evolving at the rate which breakthroughs are occurring at such a rapid speed, it almost feels like hyperbole. So if you are interested in learning more about how AI can help the ABA field, I recommend you look into David J. Cox's work. I attached his LinkedIn over here, where he has a whole bunch of articles in which that he dives in deeper into this topic. I'll read his bio to you because he's pretty interesting. I haven't found any other behavior analysts, especially BCBAD, who is like a master in this topic. So David J. Cox has been working in behavioral health for nearly 20 years as a provider, academic researcher, and data technologist. He brings a unique blend of clinical expertise and technology, holding a PhD in psych, an MS in bioethics, and postdoc training in behavioral pharmacology and data science. Pretty cool. So his expertise lies in the intersection of behavioral data science and AI, mathematical and computational models of behavior, clinical ethical decision-making, human choice dynamics, and health economics. So again, if you're interested in learning more about this topic, I recommend reaching out to Dr. Cox. He's pretty friendly. He accepted my LinkedIn friend request. This is an example of how I can, or any of us as BCBAs, we can use ChatGPT basically just as a catalyst to help us get started with ABA programming. So this is actually a situation that we are facing at the school which I currently work at. So I gave them the prompt. I am a BCBA and I want to start taking data on a student's behavior. Every time that we leave the school to go on a field trip, the student starts to scream on the street. I would like to create a data sheet that helps me identify the function of the behavior. Right, so the bot replies back, certainly, creating a data sheet to analyze the behavior during field trips is a crucial step in understanding the function of the behavior. Absolutely. Me as a BCBA can confirm that. So it's important, while you're using ChatGPT, you understand the science before you are asking for advice. That's just my opinion. So the ChatGPT provides us a template. It says, here's a template for basic ABC data sheet, right? I didn't even mention anything about wanting ABC data, but it recommended me that I should start off in that area, which is acceptable. So it provided me a template for an ABC data sheet. An ABC data sheet is very simple, of course, but again, this is just an example of how you can use this to help you get started. Right, so it produced a sample with the student information, the time, the start and the end of the field trip. It tells us that we should take note of the location. We should describe the environment before the behavior occurred, during, and of course after. And then we have this section over here, which goes into more of the analysis section. So the function of the behavior. It tells us, look for the hypothesized function. So based on your observations, make an initial hypothesis about the function of behavior. For example, if you think it's attention seeking, is it escape, or is it for sensory stimulation? Again, us as BCBAs, it doesn't give us a step-by-step plan of what we have to do, which I kind of respect because it's still leaving the human to do the rest of the work. It's just all about helping us get started. And yes, in the chat, thank you. Don't forget, chat got records of everything for them, so HIPAA, be careful, of course. We will be going over a bunch of ethics, trust me. The name of this app is ChatGPT. And additionally, it tells you after collecting data for several trips, analyze the patterns and look for trends in the antecedents and consequences, determine these potential functions. And then it gives you a prompt to help you create your intervention plan. So based on your analysis, develop an intervention plan to address the identified function of the behavior. And then what I really like about ChatGPT is that it always leaves a nice summary at the end. So it says here, remember consistency and detailed observations are key when collecting data. Adjust the data sheet based on the specific needs and characteristics of the student. Regularly review and update the data sheet to ensure it remains effective in identifying the function, which I absolutely agree with. This app is completely free. ChatGPT is part of OpenAI, which means that it's totally free. Although their database has the current free version, their database hasn't been updated since 2022, I think. So if you do want the most up-to-date database, I think you do have to pay. But there are tons. This is not, ChatGPT is not the only AI model out there that can do this. There's Bard by Google, which they recently renamed to, yes, thank you, Laura. I was just about to say that. Google has Gemini, which was previously known as Bard, which I actually like a little bit better than ChatGPT. But yes, Evelyn, you are absolutely right. Sometimes it can make mistakes, as it says here at the very bottom. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Consider checking important information. So again, I was stressing that fact that us as behavior analysts, we have to make sure that what we are reading is indeed accurate before we're actually using it. Okay, it's just all about getting started. So now let's talk about the meat of this presentation. So the ethical implications of AI and ABA. So since it's such a relatively new thing, the BACB Code of Ethics serves as a crucial foundation for the use of AI in behavior analysis, but at the moment, it doesn't explicitly refer to the use of AI. But certainly we have a bunch of principles which can broadly apply to it. And ultimately, I think that one day they will produce some type of announcement that goes over this because it's just so rapidly advancing. So first of all, in regards to ethical principles, our BACB Code of Ethics has 4 core principles: benefiting others, treating others with dignity, behaving with integrity, and ensuring competence, which apply directly to the use of AI. We also have standards in which that we'll go over. So specific sections such as 3.04, the service agreement, which emphasizes transparency and informed consent, which are crucial when using an AI-based intervention. And in regards to adapting standards, while the code doesn't have specific AI guidelines, you can adapt relevant standards to AI use. So one of the codes that I want to refer to is 1.01, which is about being truthful. So behavior analysts are truthful, and we arrange the professional environment to promote truthful behavior in others. They don't create professional situations that result in engaging in behavior that is fraudulent or illegal or that violates the code. They also provide truthful and accurate information to all required entities and individuals, and they correct instances of untruthful or inaccurate submissions as soon as they become aware of them. So a big highlight, a big bold on that last sentence there, right? So in regards to incorporating the use of AI in ABA programs, Code 1.01 is hitting upon these points. So there has to be transparency about AI capabilities. You should be transparent about what the AI can and cannot do. You should provide accurate information to clients. You should clearly explain how the AI is going to be used in their intervention, its limitations, and potential risks. And you want to look out for data accuracy and bias. So ensure that the data that you're using to train your AI is accurate and unbiased. Okay. Additionally, you should have honesty about research and limitations. So if you're involved in research using AI, be honest about its limitations and potential errors, reporting incidents, and if you discover issues with the AI performance or potential harm to clients, you should report them promptly and accurately to the relevant authorities. Another code that I want to touch upon is 1.02, conforming with legal and professional requirements. So behavior analysts are truthful and arrange the professional environment to promote truthful behavior in others, right? So that goes along similarly to our last code, in which that 1.02 hits upon these points. So understand that AI is an evolving legal landscape. So as AI technology is still relatively new, the legal landscape surrounding it is still evolving. I'm sure some of you may have heard about how they have used AI in the courtroom, which helped them, but it's still something that has a lot of kinks that they need to work out. We're not at that level where it's this type of reliable technology in the legal sense. And as I mentioned, as I first introduced this section, the BACB has not released any specific guidelines in relation to AI just yet. But as one of our friends in the chat just said, that they hope to add this in the 6th or 7th task list. It takes a while for any type of organization to update their legalities and stuff. Even at my job at Manhattan Star Academy, we recently had an update on using AI in our progress reports, and we enforced a policy that we can't use AI to generate our reports, which I absolutely agree with. Let me know if any of you guys have anything similar at where you work. In regards to licensure and board regulations, check for any specific requirements related to the use of tech in your practice. You should stay informed about these regulations. I'm going to move on a little bit quicker here. And other professional organizations might also have these guidelines for using AI more responsibly in your programs. 1.03 is about accountability. Behavior analysts are accountable for their actions. So what do we mean about here in regards to AI? We should have accountability for AI-based decisions. So even when utilizing AI tools, remember that you are the one who is remaining the accountable party for client outcomes. So if you decide to just copy paste a plan that you generated from ChatGPT, that is on you. You chose to, use that information. But again, as I mentioned to you earlier, you have the BCBA knowledge. You can discriminate. You can pick and choose what you want to include on your plan and make sure that you are truthfully using something that is evidence-based. You should critically evaluate and interpret these AI outputs, which was just the point that I was making. Be transparent about the role of AI in your treatment planning with the people that you work with, and you should stay up to date with current technology as it is something that is rapidly advancing. In regards to the responsibility and practice part of the ethics code, we're talking about providing effective treatment. So behavior analysts prioritize clients' rights and needs in service delivery. So what we mean here is that we have a priority to our clients' rights and needs. In regards to AI, we have to ensure that these tools align with established behavioral principles and are scientifically valid. We also are maximizing desired outcomes and minimizing harm with this technology. We want to be transparent and have informed consent. We want to have human oversight and accountability. We all don't want to rely on the robot to do everything. Non-behavioral services and credentials. Remember to stay within your boundaries, right? We are not data scientists, so we don't know how to do everything with the AI. So it might be best to have someone on your team who is fluent in the use of this technology that you are intending to use in your practice. In regards to 2.03, again, just trying to wrap it up so we can get to Q&A and the last code words, which is coming up very soon. 2.03 is about protecting confidential information. Behavior analysts take appropriate steps to protect the confidentiality of the people that we work with. And this hits upon these points: data security, which we're talking about. We need to implement good, adequate security measures to protect client data used by AI tools. As you saw in that example that I used in ChatGPT, I didn't use the student's name. I didn't give any identifying information. I just said a student. So I encourage you to do the same if you are using some type of open AI, because yes, they do share that data. They do analyze that data that you are inputting there. The second code word has not come up yet. So also be mindful of limited data sharing and de-identifying the person's name, as I was just mentioning to you. Transparency, again, about our data use, and always have human oversight. 3.01 is about responsibility to clients. So behavior analysts, we are acting in the best interests of clients, taking appropriate steps to support their rights, maximizing benefits, and do no harm. So again, a big part of using AI is all about transparency. You want to explain in full detail to the parents or the child's caregivers what they are expecting. So clearly explain how the AI tool works and its limitations to clients. You want to use a tailored approach. So avoid blindly applying AI to all of your clients. So for example, that prompt that I showed you guys before on ChatGPT, if I have another student that is having a similar behavior, I'm not just going to copy paste the plan that the AI recommended. We still want to use a very individualized and tailored approach here. We're just using this technology as a means to help us, not do the work. Informed consent, where we touched upon that, it's super important, and data privacy and security also very important. I think this is the last code, I promise. So 3.01 is about being responsible, right? Talked about that. Evidence-based AI tools, make sure that you're using tools that have some type of scientific backing. Make sure that if you are using AI in your practice, have continuous monitoring and evaluation. and you want to mitigate potential harm in any ways. So you want to stay clear of algorithmic bias, data breaches, misinterpretations of your data. I think I forgot which AI exactly, but they did find that their sample was a bit skewed because they only took data from one specific group of people that had a very specific identifier. And as we know, as behavior analysts, we can't generalize that sample to all people. So you have to make sure that you are taking into consideration biases in that regard. Surface agreement. Again, about transparency, clarify the roles and responsibility for all of your parties involved, informed consent, right? Give them an outline of their scope of services, and update your agreements as necessary with this rapidly evolving technology. Someone said this sounded cool at first, but now it's a bit complicated. I don't think, again, like at this point in age in 2024, I don't think we're there yet where we can reliably use it, but we are starting to we're starting to just touch the surface. Second code work is not up yet. So lastly, some limitations and considerations. We have the black box problem. AI models are often complex and opaque, making it difficult for us to understand how they arrive at their decisions. Right, and it may be difficult for us to explain how we get to those decisions to people that are not in our field of science. Potential for bias, as I mentioned before. Bias can lead to unfair discriminatory outcomes for clients. And lastly, look out for limited generalizability in terms of AI and ABA limitations. AI models are often trained on specific data sets, and they may not generalize well to new situations. And this can be a really big problem in our field where clients are often very unique. And you meet one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, right? They all have different challenges, and we can't use a cookie cutter technique to create these individualized treatment plans. So these are just a very few amount of limitations and considerations. So here is your second code word, Renaissance. I chose this word because I feel like we are going through a technological renaissance in which that there is a new wave of technology that's emerging. Okay. So that concludes my presentation. So I will now take any questions. I'm going to review the questions in the chat, my bad. But yes, I did leave some additional references and resources for those who are curious. So let me go through some questions. So first question, has ChatGPT been used to write ITPs yet? I don't know what an ITP is, but if you meant IEP, I believe so. I'm sure there's been at least one person out there that has used it, but I would not use it to copy paste your plan, because as we mentioned earlier, that would not be individualized. That would defeat the purpose of something that's called an individualized education plan. Thank you for those who attended today. Second question. I see some crossover between IT and data scientist positions. Ooh, do you suspect that BCBAs will eventually have to learn programming in this new age of AI, or just work in conjunction with IT? I think that's a really interesting question. I think that, yes, I think that behavior analysts are slowly getting their feet wet into other fields that are not just in developmental disabilities. For those who are in New York, we were pigeonholed into providing services as behavior analysts only to those who have a prescription for ABA and having a diagnosis of autism. But now that restriction has been lifted, so now we are welcome to work in other areas. Yes, exactly, Jacqueline. So yeah, I do imagine that behavior analysts will slowly get into other areas. I think even when I was mentioning the Tesla autopilot system, there's still a level of behavior analysis there, right? There's a stimulus, and there's an SD, and there's S deltas in this car's field of vision. It's able to pinpoint, oh, in the presentation of a person walking across the street that looks like this topography, I am going to step on the brakes, right? That's a chain of behaviors in itself. It's fascinating. Thank you, everybody who's attended. A few more minutes for questions. Let's see. Can you suggest some tools for helping us create behavior plans? So what I usually start out with is using ChatGPT or Bard, or which is called Gemini now, which is Google's version of ChatGPT, basically. I like to use that just to help me get started. Again, just to get some ideas. Usually I'm pretty good at thinking of those ideas on my own. So sometimes I might just pop it in there and say, like, what do you think about this idea? So I like to use that to help me get started with creating a behavior plan. But of course, just keep in mind all the ethics that we talked about. Is this potentially something related to the level of visual stimulus, like playing video games? I don't quite understand that question fully, but I imagine that, yes, there is some level of behavior analysis that it goes into part of making those games and applications, rather, that we have talked about, such as the robot or the Sense to Go, the Sense to Know app, right? Those use behavior analysis that are incorporated in the use of like videos and games. There's also a lot of games in the app store, I think, that incorporate some form of like modern technology in helping the autistic community. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. Can we make a BIP using ChatGPT? This kind of goes along with the question about using it to make an IEP. Again, I think it's totally fine that you could use it to help you get started. You can, tell the AI that you want to create a plan based on these behaviors, and it could help you get started. But again, just don't copy paste. And yeah. Let's see what else. One of our directors is encouraging the use of AI for session notes. I'm not comfortable with that. Thoughts? Yeah, I'm a little bit finicky on that as well. I think where I would start is having an open dialogue with your entire team. The leadership team, discussing what you guys think about that, because I think you can use some AI to help you make doing your session notes a bit easier, but we still want to make sure that we are having the human aspect that's still there, right? We are providers in the end. We want to make things that are not made by, we don't want to, produce any information that we didn't create ourselves, basically. Okay, thank you, everybody, for attending. I couldn't read all of your questions and comments, but thanks. I can definitely get to some after, but I think I have room for maybe one more question. Let me just pick one more.
Perfect. And Andrew, I'm just going to cut in here quick so everybody know that I'll be sending you a list of the unanswered questions. So we'll be able to answer a few of them on our social media platforms once we get the Thinkific link posted as well, so everybody can access the webinar recording.
Okay, thank you. There's so many good questions. I'm just trying to find one. Yes, I like this comment. So I would imagine using the AI as just a guide. I totally agree with that. There are many types of interventions. So getting a head start with the AI and then doing the research. I love that. Yes, I agree with that. And a lot of the times, OpenAI, at least with like ChatGPT and Google Bard, they do provide references to published journals and articles that back up the claims that they are suggesting to you. So you can always double check and review those references before you actually implement it. Do you have any? This is the last question that I will take. But yes, someone in the chat said just be aware that AI is notorious for making up fake references. Yes, I agree with that too. But again, just us as we have the board certification, let's put it to good use. We're not going to believe everything that the chat will tell us, right? So make sure you fact check your own references. And lastly, do you have any suggestions, examples on initial prompts that you would use to get started? I like to use scenario-based questions. Like I'll give a little bit of information on what the student is like. I'll make explicit instructions on what I want the AI to do, like as if I'm talking to a genuine, like a regular person. For example, like, oh, I have a student who frequently is chewing on their nails every time that it's time to go to their OT session. What are some ways that I can start to analyze this behavior? Right, that would be a good prompt to get started. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I can take. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to come and disseminate this information to behavior analysts near and far. So that we had some people from Brazil, New York, California, all over the place. So thank you so much. It was a very comprehensive presentation and very useful. So we are very glad you were here to share this with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much.